For many years, scientists and explorers have tried to solve the mysterious puzzle of Easter Island, a once fertile island that inhabited thousands of people but is now empty except for the huge carved stone heads placed around the island. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Here we discuss everything on interesting fun facts you most likely never knew about. In today's video, you're going to be shown the truth about Easter Island, how the island that housed hundreds of thousands of people slowly disappeared with just the remains of stone-carved heads, and the mystery behind this island. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss out on when we upload another interesting fun fact and top 10s video next. Also, if you enjoyed watching this video, do give it a thumbs up. It's time for some interesting fun facts, quality time on Brain Drain. Let's get right into it. For some people who might have heard about Easter Island and are probably wondering how the island that existed centuries ago gradually vanished into thin air, leaving behind nearly carved huge stone statues that remain in the island to date, scientists have finally discovered the mystery behind this island. So sit back and get ready to discover the truth and mystery behind the Easter Island. Several few places on Earth are also known for lots of mysteries behind it, like Easter Island. Otherwise known as Rapa Nui, Easter Island is a very small island of 64 square miles at the southeast end of a place called Polynesian Triangle, while also having its closest neighbors at 1300 miles away. It was given the name Easter Island by Dutch navigator called Jacob Roggeveen. The name was a result of Jacob discovering the island on an Easter Sunday in 1722. Easter Island is one of the most deserted dwelled islands in the world, and it is located in South Pacific. One of the other islands close to Easter Island was the Pitcairn Island, which was 2,015 kilometers away and was later colonized by bounty mutineers. The inhabitants of Easter Island were native Polynesians that came from other island to bring about a thriving culture for themselves sometime around 1200. At that time, Easter Island existed for more than 900 years. The inhabitants had developed their culture and language, and for sure, the present remains of the island. The prominent carved stone heads known as moai megaliths, which is about 887 of them. There were about 3,000 people living in Easter Island as at the time Jacob arrived, which was said to be a small number compared to the initial population of more than 17,500 people that brought about the island. Although the native Easter Island inhabitants had very rich agriculture, there was no domesticated animal on the island. The inhabitants depended heavily on fishing alongside their agricultural produce. Well, it is quite sad that the Easter Islanders never knew the taste of chicken, turkey, and other delicious proteins. I bet they would have loved it. On the bright side, there were a lot of trees in the island that they were able to make boats out of to navigate around the island and beyond. In 1774, an Englishman, Captain James Cook, visited the island, who described it as a place that is on the verge to extinction, as at the time of his visit, there were less than 1,000 inhabitants living in the island. Year after year, the number of the islanders reduced until during a time in the 1860s where there was a massive spread of smallpox from the Europeans to the islanders and also the Peruvian slavers that took away 1,500 inhabitants. This drastically brought down their population to less than 100. Presently, Easter Island is a region of Chile, and in May 2019, it was announced that the island was in a bad state, as it was on the verge of demographic saturation and environmental collapse. Even at that, the island have about 7,500 inhabitants, of which 60% of them are natives. For a lot of people, one huge highlight of the Easter Island is the huge carved stone heads. These carved stone heads circle the entire island, with all of them in an inward direction of the island except for 7 moais at a sacred place called Aku Akivi, which is described as a place that was used to view astronomical happenings like solstices. This sacred place was established on a story about the 7 adventurers that were sent by the king of Matua, King Hotu, to go in search of Rapa Nui following the vision he had about the island. As far as history is concerned, the story could be a myth, but no one knows for sure. But it's commonly believed that those 7 head statues were considered to be protectors of the island, as they all placed face to face in a circular manner with their backs turned against the sea. Each moai is said to be 33 feet tall and weigh about 90 tons, having its own unique features. The carved head statues were built between the 14th and 15th century. Scientists have not only wondered how such massive statues were built, but also how they were moved to where they currently are, with the fact that moving such structures would involve a lot of manpower or even involve extraterrestrial help. It was discovered in 2012 that the carved statues are not just heads, but also have bodies spanning into the ground. Evidence has also shown that the moais were carved from compressed volcanic ash, a material known as stuff. The moais carved and then moved to the coast, which was oftentimes several kilometers away from the island. There are several claims as to how the moais were moved. However, scientists have been unable to conclude that the moais were firstly carved and then moved, either by placing them on wooden logs with ropes tied to the heads and moved by the inhabitants like a fridge, or they were moved alongside rolling logs. The extinction of Easter Island gradually began with a continuous decrease in the population of its inhabitants and the disappearance of the palm trees that had existed long before the island. For more than 30,000 years, Easter Island had a lot of palm trees to boast of, but sadly, between 1200 and 1650, they began to disappear. As more and more moais were carved, all of the palm trees were cut off to move the carved statue heads. With the palm trees gone, the island slowly began to deteriorate. The soil wore away quickly, so also was the agriculture. There were no longer woods to build boats, canoes, and houses. The birds also vanished as there were no more trees to build their nests in. The inhabitants began to starve to death as their primary means of survival were all gone. Scientists also found that the Polynesian Rats played a role in the destruction of the island. When the natives first settled on the island, they were accompanied by rats, either as food or as hijackers. The island was a very favorable place for the rats, as there was surplus food for them like palm tree nuts, with no fear of predators aside from humans. With these ideal situations in place, the rats could double their population in just 6 weeks. There were traces of rat bites on almost all of the palm seed shells that was found on the island, and that greatly affected the ability of the trees to reproduce. Aside from the role of the rats in the deforestation of the land, the inhabitants were also very wasteful in their use of the palm trees. They did not only cut down the palm trees to move the carved head statues, but also practiced a type of agricultural technique called slash and burn, which involved freeing the path for the carved head statues to be rolled through the island. The inhabitants had assumed that the palm trees would grow back very fast, hence the continuous felling of the once 16 million trees, but on the contrary, it was a misleading assumption. They ended up becoming severely starved, which in turn led to fightings and cannibalism. In conclusion, it can be said that the continuous cutting down of the palm trees by the islanders, the aid of the rats to deforestation, the havoc of slavery and diseases significantly contributed to the misery of Easter Island, although these claims are yet to be determined. Although it might be quite swaying to imagine Easter Island as a deserted relic of civilization, Easter Island, otherwise known as Rapa Nui, still exists today with thousands of people living in it. The locals mostly speak Spanish, although the native Rapa Nui language is taught in schools. There might still be traces of a once deserted island, but the people of Rapa Nui have been able to embrace their past and are also putting their best to preserve their culture, traditional music and dance. It's quite strange that a part of the continuous stability of the Rapa Nui's culture comes from birdmen cult in the 18th century. This cult came about to honor their god called Make Make, that was symbolized as a bird. Whenever the first eggs of the year are laid by the birds off the shore on a small island, the inhabitants would compete in competitions like the shark water swimming competition and the cliff climbing competition, and whoever wins would be given the honor to go fetch the eggs. One interesting culture of the people of Rapa Nui that existed since the 1970s is the Tapati Rapa Nui Festival. Part of the festival is a sport event where the participants are to slide down a steep 1,000-foot slope coming down from the top of the volcano wearing just loincloth or a banana tree sled. This festival are used to entertain tourists that come to Easter Island, and after that they can check out some of the carved head statues. Easter Island is not only thriving from its past but also a very good attraction site for tourists. You can easily book a flight ticket from your country to Rapa Nui's Mataveri International Airport, stay at the island's major town, Hangaroa, book a trip around the island or even watch a show. Rapa Nui is less than 6 hours from Santiago, Chile by flight. Even though the island was almost brought to ruins by the inhabitants in the past, Rapa Nui has been able to scale through its tough times, attracted lots of people from all around the world while still having its unique statues from centuries ago. And that wraps it up. Let us know in the comment section which discovered mystery facts you have found interesting, and also let us know what you think about Easter Island. Don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends. If you would love to see more videos like this one, then click on the subscribe button and join us on another interesting fun fact video on Brain Drain.